Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Facebook Live. And thank you for joining me today. I'm Diane Ray, co founder of the MindBodySpirit.fm podcast network. And we're starting to do these Facebook Lives on a regular basis. Tina and I, my business partner and co founder, we've been talking about this, and we're really excited to introduce our podcasters to you. We have so many amazing podcasters on the network, over 60. So if you're like me and you're interested in things like angels, past lives, mediumship, spirituality, intuition, and things like that, health and wellness, personal growth and development, then you are in the right place. So check out our website, mindbodyspirit.fm, the podcasters that we have there. You may recognize some people from, Hay House days, or maybe Unity Online Radio, or maybe some people that are new to you. So the other reason that we want to do these Facebook Lives is to introduce you to podcasters that you might not be familiar with, new teachers that are out there that are sharing some really exciting information. So one of the people that I'm going to introduce you today is an amazing podcaster. And this is someone who she definitely understands what it feels like to, be beaten up, to feel hopeless. And she's trying to bring a spark into the world and help you feel lit up and alive. Stephanie James is the host of the Igniting the Spark podcast, and she knows what it's like to struggle with feelings of low self-worth, lack of trust, not feeling good enough. She's a transformational coach, an author, and a filmmaker. And her mission is to bring as much love and healing into the world as possible. And Tina and I were so happy that she decided to join us here on the network. So I'm so happy to introduce her to you. So welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you, Diane. It's such a joy to be here with you.
It is. It's joyful. Well, we're trying to be anyway. On Facebook Lives, we're still getting our sea legs on this. So I wanted to get you talking about your podcast. There's so many podcasts out there. I forget at last count, millions. I always say there's a sea of podcasts, and so many teachers that are offering their teachings. And what do you want people to learn or take away from your podcast?
I would say the biggest message through all my mediums, and especially my podcast, is your period healing period matters, period. And that each one of us are those essential golden threads in the tapestry of humanity. And so I really do believe that as we do our own inner work and as we learn these different tools and techniques and we're inspired, then as we heal, then we can become that clearer conduit for more love and healing to come to us and through us into the world.
And you're such an amazing teacher. And I've listened to your podcast, and you're so easy to talk to. And there's so much love that's coming out of the podcast. And I know a lot of people these days they're feeling hopeless, and especially for women, we beat ourselves up. It's too late for change. I'm too old, or whatever other self-limiting things that we're telling ourselves. What would you say to them, to check out the podcast and the things that you're offering on the show, that there is hope?
Absolutely. I always say, like, for me, I mean, life began at 50. It's like the last 7 years for me have been absolutely phenomenal. And so I always do feel like, our power is in the present moment. And when we're not caught in, oh my God, the what if game and worrying about the future or ruminating about the past, we can really learn how to reel ourselves into the present moment. And when we do that, then we start learning, like, oh my gosh, from this moment, I have a choice. From this moment, I can really focus on what is it that's going to really bring about my highest good, my highest well-being. And so that is part of what I really try to teach people on the show and bring, inspirational guests. As you know, we've just had some amazing, beautiful guests. I get just our last episode a couple of weeks ago was with Lynn McTaggart. We'd have had, Neil Donald Walsh and, Academy Award winners, Stephen Simon, people that their mission as well is to help really bring about this new awakening and this new awareness that we're all interconnected. And so even though we go through those dark and challenging times, and as you said, I certainly have throughout my life, And yet there are things within us that sometimes we don't even know that are available to us, and an inner strength and an inner resilience. And we can really excavate what the whole spark is about. Because for me, the spark is our essence. It's that part of us that no matter what we go through, no matter what circumstance, what situation, that spark is still alive. That is what is the essential us. And so our work is, how do we excavate it? How do we allow that part of ourselves to shine so we can really be that authentic version of ourselves, in full expression in the world?
I got chills when you said that in the beginning of the point of power is in the present moment, because I have my Louise Hay cards. I think I probably showed this too on the last Facebook Live, but this is the one I picked today. What you just said, the point of power is always in the present moment. And I try to remember that. And it's so important, I think, for
Well, that
people
just gave me
to,
chills too.
right? Ooh, we're vibing across the airwaves here. And you mentioned your guests, and I love talking to amazing people, and I know you do too. Lynn McTaggart, I mean, what an incredible teacher. And you've gathered wisdom from some of the most amazing minds and teachers out there on the planet. So can you share some messages or teachings that have been life-changing for you?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest ones has been around surrender. And, that is a little bit of what we were talking about. Part of it's surrendering to the present moment, but also to what's happening in our lives. It's that old saying that what we resist persists. And so what we can learn to do, it's not that you say, oh, I'm so happy this painful thing is happening. It's not about that. And some people say, well, surrendering, that feels weak, or like I'm, being a coward or being a doormat. Actually, surrender is one of the most courageous things we can do, because as Michael Singer says, suffering is when we want this moment to be anything other than what it is. So as we can learn to surrender, and sometimes that's just going within, it's really breathing within our heart, feeling our heartbeat, really taking those deep breaths and saying, okay, I'm surrendering to this moment and to this moment, and sometimes that's how we
Right.
have to get through, is that moment by moment by moment. But I would say really the power of surrender is one of the most powerful lessons in my life that has helped guide my life to such a more, just peaceful, calm existence. Because no matter who we are always going to go through life and life's bumps. Nobody gets out unscathed. I love it. I saw this meme that was like, we think that life is supposed to be this line that goes like this, or this line that goes like that, this straight line. But in actuality, life is like this swirling, twirling line, because that's just how it is. So I think also, as we surrender to the reality that we live in a world of duality, and we've chosen to come here at this particular time on the planet, so we're going to have dual experiences. We're going to have spiritual experiences, and we're going to have dark experiences and challenging experiences. So when we start to embrace the totality of the whole, actually, that's where a sense of peace can emerge. That's where that sense of like expansion, breath can really exist within us.
That is so powerful. And it's so valuable for people to remember, because we don't like to be uncomfortable. We fight against it. And a lot of times I think we learn the most from the experiences that we hate. The most painful things that we go through in life are where we come out with the biggest lessons, deaths, divorces, job loss. And that's where you really dig deep and find out what you're all about, where that strength comes from. So surrender is huge. I love that you're sharing that.
Well, and I
So
agree with you too, Diane, excuse me, that, I think about that. That was really the theme for my first film, When Sparks Ignite, which is still playing on Humanities Stream Plus. I love it. The theme was really the difficult and challenging times that we face can truly become that match point within us that then ignite our gift that we give to the world.
right. That's so true. I mean, I know for myself, whenever I'm going through something that's really challenging or horrible, and I try to get quiet and listen, what am I supposed to learn where is that spark? And a lot of times I'll get an answer. You just have to get quiet. So I'm glad you mentioned the film, because I was going to ask you about that. I mean, of the many things that you do, you're so accomplished and talented, keynote speaker, leading retreats, a coach, a filmmaker. And I hope people check out the film. That's amazing. So with everything that you offer, I mean, what do you love about podcasting, about that kind of the intimacy of the podcast?
Yeah, I have to tell you, it's one of my favorite things in the world. I've been a psychotherapist for 17 years. And I remember, a little over 10 years ago, when I first had the serendipity of someone walking into my office right as I had been thinking, like, how do I get back into radio? And 3 minutes later saying, hey, I work at the local radio station. Would you be interested in doing your own show? And the joy for me, Diane, was, I mean, this awesome connection, as you know, it's this heart-to-heart connection with someone else that, I mean, and the people, I have become closest friends with so many of my guests, because we come together. You can feel this cohort, that's joined. And I just think there's nothing like it. And it's such a beautiful medium for then sharing those intimate conversations, those real heart to heart, and just real. They're real. And so I think they touch people's heart, and I know they ignite mine. So often I get off of one of my interviews and I feel like I'm floating like 3 feet above my head, because I get so lit up, and then I get so excited and lit up to share it.
Yeah, it is an intimate thing, more so I think than other mediums. Like this for me, or on camera, is a little uncomfortable. And being an old radio gal, I do love that intimacy and the connection that you can get with a podcast. And I also love that you're able with your show to reach so many people anywhere. Sometimes if you look at your analytics and you see where are people coming from, I know I get excited, like, oh, there's someone that logged in from, East whatever, like some weird country. So you can reach people all over the world with your message. And I think you're doing such a great job of that, and touching people. Do you ever get email from somebody that's, heard the podcast and something really resonated with them?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely also one of my favorite things, is then the intimate relationships that then we can have, because I truly do feel like we're all connected. And as my dear friend Jacob Lieberman says, we're all the same height, which means we're all in this together. No one person is more valuable than the other. And so I always welcome emails, because I want to know the contents of other people's hearts as well. And, I've had people get a hold of me and say things like, I really was at such a low point, and really feeling pretty suicidal, and tuned into the show and felt like, okay, maybe I'll go talk to someone. I probably need to talk to someone, and that I'm not alone. I mean, really getting that message. I mean, when you get those messages back, it's so life-changing. And as I'm sure you've had too, when people say things like, you are such an angel, you were an angel in my life today. To me, I mean, that makes me want to cry at this minute, because there's just nothing better than that.
Well, I would love to hear that. If someone if someone wants to say that I've been the angel today, that would be amazing. Yeah, I haven't heard that, but maybe I'll get some emails. But I wanted to ask you about, maybe, I know you don't want to play favorites, but can you share a guest, recently that you've really enjoyed talking to? I know you mentioned Lynn McTaggart, and then, find out who else you've got coming up on the show that we could keep our eye out for.
Yeah. I mean, Lynn was totally a joy, and we had such a great connection. I'd have to say too, Suzanne Giesman, was such a phenomenal guest, and, became actually someone I'm really connected with now, for a new book that I have coming out. And so I would have to say too, in combination with that, it would be Neale Donald Walsch.
Oh yeah.
And we didn't even, I have 2 recordings, one that I don't share, and then, the one that was on air, because we started talking, we started recording, and we couldn't even get to the interview. It was like 30 minutes of, I mean, we were laughing, we were sharing personal stories. And then I love it. At one point, you can just see him. He gets this download and he says, Stephanie, you're going to write a new book and you're going to start tomorrow morning. And the title of that
Wow.
book is I'm Dying to Tell You About Death. And it's going to have a global impact. And I'm going to endorse that book. And literally, Diane, that book came through my first two books, 9 months each, The Spark, Igniting Your Best Life, and then Becoming Fierce, 9 months each to write. This one came through in under 6 weeks.
That's amazing.
It has been amazing. And the people that came out to be a part of it. Now, I know this isn't just about podcasting, but it directly feeds into it because one of my other just heartfelt guests that I loved was Sage Dyer, Wayne Dyer's daughter.
Yes.
Who was on the show. And she's also a part of that book. And after I interviewed her, she said, oh, you got to interview my mom, who is one of the people I'm hoping to have on the show as well on Igniting the Spark podcast. But she's a part of the book as well. And so was, Stephen Simon, who did the Academy Award winning film, What Dreams May Come. So he was another just beautiful guest, as well as someone then who's just an amazing part of that book.
Wow, that is incredible. And what a nice breadcrumb you left us for what's coming up with your new book.
That's you.
Exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the secondary title is Transforming Fear to Embrace the Divine Journey of Your Life.
Incredible. Well, you'll definitely keep us informed on that, the progress when the book comes out. And how can people reach you? Can you throw out an email address that people can get in touch with you? And we're going to also have some information where people can find your podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, I would say 2 ways. People can get a hold of me at stephaniejames.world. So that's my website. That's probably the easiest place for people to contact me. And if they want to put their email in right now as a free gift, I'm offering the PDF version of my first book, The Spark, Igniting Your Best Life. So just to help people start that inner journey, to really uncover that within them.
Nice. A free gift too. We love that. We love the freebies. Well,
too.
I hope that we could introduce you to some new people today on this little Facebook Live. So I appreciate people that have popped on to say hello and to watch. And I invite you to check out all of our podcasters, over 60 podcasters, amazing people, including Suzanne Giesemann that you mentioned. Yay, giving Suzanne a shout out. We have some incredible teachers, and really our goal, Tina and I really want to help people and give them information that's going to help them in their daily lives kind of get through what we're all collectively going through as a species, right? Just we're all trying to get through the day and trying to be the best that we can be. And there's wonderful teachers like you that are helping us out with that. So definitely check out mindbodyspirit.fm and follow any of our podcasters. You can listen right on the website or wherever you get podcasts, whatever app you're using, we're there, we're out there. And, stay in touch with us and see what we've got going on for these other Facebook Lives coming up in the near future. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining me today and helping to get the word out about your work and what we're doing with the network.
Well, thank you so much, Diane. It's such a joy, truly, to be on your network. I love what you guys are about. I truly love the content. I find myself listening to so many of the podcasts on Mind Body Spirit FM. It's really awesome to be a part of this family.
Oh, well, we love you and we're growing and changing and morphing mindbodyspirit.fm. So thanks for joining us today.